So our next speaker is Norbert Huben from ESO, who was hoping to join us here, but sadly couldn't fly to join us in London today, but has very kindly agreed to give his presentation remotely. So live from Garking, Norbert Huben is going to tell us a bit about VLT roadmap on AO. Norbert, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Colin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. I'm very happy to give this talk after Rick because it's extremely complementary of what Rick just said about what is being done at VLT scientifically with the different AO system and with the interferometer. First, this shows where we are today on the AO-based instrument at the VLT. So what you see here are different instruments, like a sphere, for instance, which is a high contrast adaptive optics system. We have also a number of older instruments like NACO, which is infrared imager based on single conjugate adaptive optics, which will be decommissioned most probably in October. Symphony, which is now moved to UT3, which is a 3D spectrograph based on the single conjugate AO system with laser gas star, which will also be removed from the VLT mid of this year to be shipped back to the Max Planck to feed the ERIS. We have also a large facility, the adaptive optics facility, which provide a 2 ground layer AO system and one laser tomography for MUSE, which is a 3D visible spectrograph, and OCI, which is infrared imager, large field. And right now, people are putting at the Cassegrain a 10 micron instrument, which is called NIR. This is for a dedicated experiment. I will come back to that. High contrast 10 micron instrument. Of course, we have something like 12 adaptive optics systems which support, and it is essential, support the VLTI. So we have 4 visible AO systems for the UTs and 4 infrared AO systems also for the VLTI, the UTs, to support gravity observation. And more recently, actually, last year, we have implemented adaptive optics system of the ATs. So this is very nice because ATs essentially is dedicated to VLTI, and of course, it's good to have adaptive optics on this small 1.8-meter telescope. And upcoming soon, ERIS was mentioned by Rick, but so MAVIS, and I will come back to that. So I will focus mostly on the most recent AO-based instrument and on the forward look. So first, Sphere, quickly. Sphere is a high contrast system with 1,600 actuators, more or less, and 3 instruments, infrared differential imager, IRDIS, IFS, integrated spectrograph, and a visible camera, differential polarimetry camera. So these are the characteristics of the 3 different instruments. I don't want to go to the detail of that. But what is important to remember is that this is a fully dedicated high contrast instrument, both for the infrared and the visible. And actually, we have very nice result also with SIMPL. So this is the view of inside the instrument, where you see the key component, deformable mirror, tilted mirror. We have different type of infrared coronagraph, etc. And this is a typical result of contrast obtained for SIMPL, so I cap the visible because this is more impressive, but we have also the same kind of curve for infrared for the IFS. So you see we can achieve something like 10 to the minus 7 at about 40 lambda per D with this instrument. And these are few results obtained with FIR, both in the field of disk studies on stars in the visible, in the infrared, but also on some detection of planets, which are not as many as we would have expected at the beginning when we started. Another big facility is the adaptive optics facility on UT4. So that was started something like 12 years ago, and now it's fully commissioned, and it is a complete facility which can be used every night systematically. So it was a Pathfinder, but now it is a fully functional system for science every night. So this is the 4 laser gas star, the UT4, and you have an adaptive secondary, which is based on the technology initially developed by our colleague in Italy, the LT. We have a ground layer AO system with a 4 laser gas star, which provide a correlated field of view for OCI, which is a large field instrument in the infrared imager. And we have also another module which provides ground layer AO and laser tomography in the visible for the 3D spectrograph MUSE. So for the specialist of AO, I've listed here the key components. So 4-track Hartmann LGS reference sensor, 40 by 40 subaperture, with a radar nose of below 1 electron. We have a deformable secondary mirror with 1166 actuators, with an optical quality at rest 18 nanometer RMS and a speed time of 0.8 milliseconds, which is very important if you to achieve fractional limit in the visible. 4 laser gas star, which actually has a power of 2 to 3 times the initial specification and very robust in operation. That's very important because our first experience in the first gas star was extremely robust. And the system takes the control of the active optics of the telescope. So this is the timeline of the development of the system. So this is for you to know, but the most important is to know that this facility now is fully commissioned, offered to the community. The last science verification was in August last year with MUSE Galaxy in the narrow field mode. So just come back to the characteristic of the different instruments. So we have the ground layer AO wide field mode of Galaxy, which provide 1 by 1 arc minute the visible correction. And we have absolute optics inserted between the focal plane of MUSE and the telescope. So this is a gain of throughput due to the ground layer AO, which is not reduced by any optics in the middle. So this is a typical example of corrected field of 1 by 1 arc minute in the visible. So you see corrected and uncorrected. So you have some kind of shrink. So it's some kind of seeing improved over this field. And if you look at the statistics, essentially it means that you have telescope with a seeing of an average of 0.3 arc second instead of 0.6 something. So you gain this small factor 2 in full width at a maximum with this ground layer AO over the large field of view. For Graal, so this is, as I said, an infrared imager, which is relatively large in field, 7 by 7 arc minute, and which cover Y to K band. Again, there is absolutely no optic inserted in between the telescope and the focal plane of the instrument. So again, here you have corrected and uncorrected field. So this is a bit less impressive due to the very large field of view of the instrument. And this is again of full width at our maximum with or without ground layer AO. And of course, the cherry on the pie and the most challenging mode was the narrow field mode, because the goal there was to get between 5 and 10% square ratio in the visible on axis. The field of view is about 10 arcsecond. And this is a kind of correction we got. So that image is 1 by 1 arc minute, the normal wide field mode image of Muse with a Fourier at half maximum 0.4 arcsecond. This is when you zoom to the 7 by 7 arcsecond of the narrow field mode. And this is what you get when you switch on the laser tomography. So you see the gain of going, of course, diffraction limit in the visible at the VLT. So this is very impressive. We would like to extend this because right now we are using the on-axis object, the TP star, and limited magnitude is about 15 in H. So we would like to push this to 17 or 17.5 with a new TP sensor. And that is a facility command, so it's not, expert mode at the VLT. So essentially, this big facility is very important because it has provided us with a system where you have adaptive secondary, you have the 4 laser gas star and so forth, and we can build up on this big investment for the next instrument. And what are the next instruments? So the next one will be, as I said, the first light of NEAR. I will come back to that. Then there will be ERIS, mid-2020, that I mentioned. Say a few words on this. And then longer term will be the first light of MAVIS, which is an MCAO visible imager and spectrograph in the visible. And all that will be on UT4. So for NEAR, this is the New Earth in the Alpha Cent region experiment, which is actually funded by Breakthrough Initiative. So the goal here is to use VCA, which is a 10 micron imager, and to implement a wavefront sensor and to make use of the large secondary mirror on UT4 with no additional optics in the middle, which is very important for television, to reach a high contrast. We have installed a new coronagraph and a way to actually deal with the sky background subtraction. So this is the implementation, the optomechanics, the wavefront sensor, and so forth. And the goal is to actually run this science campaign around June this year. As I said, it is an experiment funded by Breakthrough Initiative. So it's not offer an instrument to a large community, but it's not at this stage. So we have to see what are the results of the experiment, and if the results are amazing, we will see. So ERIS, so was mentioned by Eric. So here it's a bit more technical information. So the goal of ERIS is really to push AO to the limit using 1 laser gas star, get the largest possible sky coverage and the highest performance possible. And that instrument also replaces 2 instruments we are going to decommission, NACO and Symphony, and merge into one, which is actually ERIS. So what you see here are the different expected performance in stride ratio. In K-band on the bottom left, and with natural and laser gas star. And you see also the performance in the field of view on the bottom, on the top left. So you see this is the normal, let's say, an isoplanetism effect. Correct in one direction, you have a reduction of corrected image in the field, and this is what this graph shows for different separation. And you have the same here for the laser gas star mode. So in that case, it's the typical magnetism which plays a role to reduce also the performance. So on the bottom, you have the key characteristic of the two instruments. So X imager, which will be a GHK and LM with different pixel scale, and the spectroimager, which is actually the SPIFI from the whole Symphony instrument, upgraded with a different resolution and resolving power. And that should, in principle, show up at the telescope in 2020. Now, if we project ourselves in the future, we were wondering what we could do on the VLT, and actually this is still being explored together with our new partners in Australia and in Italy and in Marseille to exploit the adaptivotics facility. And the natural proposal was to look into multi-conjugate adaptivotics in the visible and couple this with visible imager. Idea being that we could do some of the science that used to be done by HST, which is going to at some point be decommissioned, and also to put a 3D spectrograph to exploit also the MCO performance in the future. So these are the characteristics of the possible instrument, which might be revised by the FESE being just been launched last week with our colleagues in Australia. But as a baseline Stroman design, let's say for the multi-conjugate AO system, we are thinking about using the adaptive secondary with 2 post-focal DM, 4 laser gas stars, 3 natural gas stars, etc. Typically control frequency around 1 kilohertz. Yeah. And these are some few simulations we did this year to just see what could be the performance of the system. So we believe that we could probably achieve something like 10-15% structure ratio at 550 nanometer with that kind of facility over a field of view of typically TR second. Of course, the bigger challenge of that kind of instrument is not only about the structure ratio, but it is also about the sky coverage. So a lot of effort will be put to maximize the sky coverage of such a facility. Very important to say that, so this is some concept of optical design, but that will be probably revised. But what is very important is that we see this instrument as a complement instrument to what would be at the ELT with Maori and Mikado in the infrared. So that will be the part in the visible of what is being done at the ELT. And more or less the time scale is very close because we believe that that kind of instrument will take about 7 years to be developed after the phase A. So it will be exactly more or less at the time where Mikado and Maori will be at the ELT. So in conclusions, well, we have a few AO systems at the VLT, 12 AO systems supporting the VLT interferometer. We have high contrast capability. We have this adaptive telescope with grand layer AO and LTAO, which actually the LTAO is a premiere, which is used daily or nightly for science. We have the upcoming now second generation LGO SCARO system with ERIS, and in the pipe we have the future MCO in the visible, which is again very challenging, but we have a good basis to work on this to the early investment at the VLT. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Norbert. Do we have any questions? We will try and do this via the microphone, and hopefully Norbert can hear this. If not, I'll repeat them. Okay.
Hi, the NEAR experiment sounds very exciting, but Alpha Cen is quite a difficult target because it's obviously A and B. Do you want to just go into a little more detail about that?
Did you hear that, Norbert?
Yes, I heard. So we are aware that it is extremely challenging. We have done extensive simulation. We have tested a GPM chronograph, and so we believe that it is achievable. But of course, as I said, it is an experiment. So we will see which kind of performance we get very soon, because the commissioning should be, I think, early April, and science observation will be done in June.
Okay, any other questions? If not, then thank Norbert again. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.